أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربي يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير آمين يا رب العالمين. In this lecture, we will study the approach towards making a sentence in Arabic language, and furthermore, we will have an introduction to jumla ismia. At this time, we should be very well familiar with the four characteristics of ism. These four characteristics are: first, the gender of the ism. From the standpoint of gender, an ism can be masculine or feminine. Second, the number of the ism. From the standpoint of number, an ism can be singular, dual, or plural. Third, the capacity of the ism. From the standpoint of capacity, an ism can be definite or indefinite. And fourth, the status of the ism. And from the standpoint of status, an ism can be rafa, nasab, or jar. Rafa, nasab, jar are also the first form, second form, and third forms of the ism respectively. We will have an introduction to some new terminologies. What do we call one word in Arabic grammar? Let us look at some examples. Kitab means a book, and kitab is one word. Qalam means a pen, and qalam is one word. Qalamani, even though it means two pens, but qalamani is also one word. Kitabani means two books, and kitabani is one word. Aqlam is plural for qalam. It means more than two pens, but aqlam is also one word. So kitab, qalam, qalamani, kitabani, aqlam, these are all examples of one word. The term which is used for a single word in Arabic grammar is mufrad. So mufrad is the term that will be used for a single word in Arabic grammar. The combination of mufrad plus mufrad is called murakkab. So murakkab equals mufrad plus mufrad. Murakkab literally means a composition, a combination, or an assembly of two or more things. So another term that can be used for murakkab is a phrase. Therefore, the combination of two or more asma will construct a murakkab. To summarize, the term used for a single word in Arabic grammar is mufrad. Mufrad plus mufrad equals murakkab. Murakkab can also be called a phrase, and it is a combination of two or more asma. Looking further at murakkab, a murakkab can either be naqis, in which case it does not deliver a complete meaning. Therefore, if a murakkab is naqis, it is not a sentence. Alternatively, a murakkab can be tam. This is a type of phrase or murakkab which delivers a complete meaning. In grammatical terms, murakkab tam is also called a sentence, and the grammatical terminology for a sentence in Arabic is jumla. To simplify, a murakkab or a phrase can either not deliver a complete meaning, or it will deliver a complete meaning. And if it delivers a complete meaning, in that case, it is called jumla or sentence. At this point, we know the definition of mufrad, which is a single word. We know that mufrad plus mufrad constructs a murakkab, and that murakkab is a combination of two or more asma. Furthermore, we studied that murakkab or a phrase can either be murakkab naqis, in which case it is not a sentence, and it is a phrase which does not deliver a complete meaning. Or murakkab can be murakkab tam, in which case it is a type of phrase that delivers a complete meaning, or it is a sentence. A sentence is also called jumla. Within jumla, we have two types. We can either have jumla fe'liya or we will have jumla ismia. The focus of our lecture today will be the study of jumla ismia. Jumla ismia is similar to nominal sentence in English grammar. Jumla ismia has two parts. The first part is called mubtada. Mubtada is simply translated to beginning. It is very common that mubtada comes first in jumla ismia. Mubtada can also be called the subject of the sentence. So, jumla ismia will have two parts. The first part is called mubtada and the second part is called khabar. Mubtada, khabar. Mubtada, khabar. For jumla ismia, these two terminologies are very important. Mubtada and khabar. Khabar literally means news. Khabar can also be called the predicate of the sentence. Khabar or predicate describes the subject or mubtada. So khabar gives us more information about mubtada. To summarize, jumla ismia has two parts, mubtada and khabar. Mubtada most commonly comes first in jumla ismia and it is the subject of the sentence. Khabar gives us information about mubtada. We will now study the rules for making jumla ismia. In order to make jumla ismia, we need at least two asma. The first ism is called mubtada and the second one is called khabar. Mubtada is the subject, khabar is the predicate. Khabar gives us more information about mubtada. The first rule that we need to know is that both mubtada and khabar will always be in the rafa status. So mubtada will be in rafa status, khabar will also be in rafa status. Mubtada will be marfu, khabar will be marfu. And the first rule is applicable 100% of the time. The second rule is that mubtada should be definite or ma'rifa in capacity and khabar should be indefinite or nakra in capacity. This rule is applicable approximately 99% of the time. Rarely we will see that mubtada can be indefinite or khabar can be definite. So, the first rule is that both mubtada and khabar will be rafa in status, and the second rule is that 99% of the time mubtada should be definite in capacity and khabar should be indefinite in capacity. Finally, the third rule is that both mubtada and khabar will have the same gender and the same number. So, if mubtada is masculine, khabar will be masculine. If khabar is feminine, mubtada will be feminine. If mubtada is singular, khabar will be singular. If mubtada is dual, khabar will be dual. If mubtada is plural, khabar will also be plural. And it does not matter if one is broken plural and the other is non-broken plural, but both need to have the same number. The third rule is applicable approximately 99.99% of the time. To summarize, the three rules of making jumla ismia: the first one, both mubtada and khabar have to be rafa in status. Number two, mubtada should be definite in capacity. Khabar should be indefinite in capacity. And the third rule, both mubtada and khabar will have the same gender and the same number. We will start with the practice of making jumla ismia. Again, jumla ismia is comprised of mubtada and khabar. Mubtada is the subject, khabar is the predicate. Khabar gives us more information about mubtada. Both mubtada and khabar will always be rafa in status. Mubtada should be definite or marifa in capacity, and khabar should be indefinite or nakra in capacity. Both mubtada and khabar will have the same gender and the same number. We will start by using definite asma as mubtada. If we recall, we have so far studied 5 types of definite asma. These are number 1, ism alam or proper noun, ism zamir or pronouns, ism ishara or demonstrative pronouns, relative pronouns, or lamut tarif. We will start by using proper nouns as mubtada. So we will start making jumla ismiya by using ism alam or proper noun as mubtada. We will now make our first jumla ismiya using definite ism as mubtada. The definite ism that we will be using is ism alam or proper noun. We know that ism alam or proper noun refers to the name of a specific person, specific place, or specific thing. The first example that we have is Zaid is a student. This is a complete sentence in English, and we will try to make the jumla ismiya for Zaid is a student. We know that jumla ismiya will have 2 parts, mubtada and khabar. Mubtada will have its own requirements, khabar will have its own requirements. Let us go back to Zaid is a student. Zaid is the subject, so Zaid should be mubtada, and student gives us more information about Zaid, so student should be khabar. The Arabic for Zaid will be written as Zaidun, and the Arabic for student will be written as talibun. Let us look at Zaidun as mubtada and make sure that it meets all the requirements to be mubtada. And then let us look at talibun as khabar and make sure that it meets all the requirement to be khabar. The first thing that we notice is that we do not write Zaid talib. We are writing Zaidun talibun. So there is the presence of double pesh at the end of Zaidun, and there is a presence of double pesh at the end of talibun. The presence of double pesh at the end of Zaidun indicates rafa status. So Zaidun is rafa because of the presence of double pesh at the end of the ism. Zaidun is marfu. Similarly, talibun is rafa in status because of the presence of double pesh at the end of the ism. Talibun is marfu. Zaidun is rafa in status. Talibun is rafa in status. And we already meet our first requirement of jumla ismiya, which is that both mubtada and khabar must be in rafa status. Zaidun is mubtada and it is in rafa status. Talibun is khabar and it is in rafa status. The next criteria is that mubtada should be definite and khabar should be indefinite. Let us look at our mubtada, which is Zaidun. Zaidun is a proper noun. It is a definite ism. It is ism alam. So Zaidun is definite. Talibun is an indefinite ism because it does not meet criteria to be definite. So now we have met the criteria number 2, which is that mubtada should be definite and khabar should be indefinite. Zaidun is mubtada and it is definite. Talibun is khabar and it is indefinite. Zaidun is singular in number. Talibun is singular in number. Zaidun is masculine in gender. Talibun is masculine in gender. So we meet criteria number 3 as well, which is that both mubtada and khabar should be the same when it comes to number and gender. Zaidun is singular and masculine. Talibun is singular and masculine. So Zaidun meets all the criteria for it to be mubtada. Talibun meets all the criteria for it to be khabar. And the combination of Zaidun, Talibun equals Zaid is a student. So our first jumla ismia is Zaidun Talibun, which means Zaid is a student. So our first jumla ismia is Zaidun Talibun, which means Zaid is a student. Zaidun is being used as mubtada. Zaidun is a proper noun. So we are using an ism alam or proper noun as mubtada. Zaidun is rafa in status. Talibun is rafa in status. Zaidun being mubtada is a definite ism. Talibun being khabar is an indefinite ism. Both Zaidun and Talibun have the same number and gender. Zaidun is singular and masculine. Talibun is also singular and masculine. Zaidun meets all the criteria for it to be mubtada. Talibun meets all the criteria to be khabar, and because of that, Zaidun Talibun is an accurate and correct jumla ismia. We will now do some practice of jumla ismia using ism alam or proper noun as mubtada. The example that we have here is Zaid is a Muslim, and the translation of it will be Zaidun Muslimun. Zaidun is mubtada, Muslimun is khabar. Both Zaidun and Muslimun are rafa in status. Zaidun is definite and Muslimun is indefinite in capacity. Zaidun is singular and masculine, and Muslimun is also singular and masculine. Because Zaidun meets all the criteria to be mubtada and Muslimun meets all the criteria to be khabar, Zaidun Muslimun is a jumla ismia. Let us look at some more examples. Zaid is a mu'min, and the translation will be Zaidun mu'minun. Zaidun is satisfying all the criteria for mubtada, and mu'minun is satisfying all the criteria for khabar. Therefore, Zaidun mu'minun is jumla ismia. Zaid is a teacher. Zaidun muallimun. Zaid is sitting. Zaidun jalisun. Zaid is standing. Zaidun qaimun. Zaid is fasting. Zaidun saimun. Zaid is hardworking. Zaidun mujtahidun. In all of these examples, Zaidun represents mubtada, and the corresponding khabar in each case meets the requirement for it to be khabar. Therefore, all of these are proper examples of jumla ismia. Moving forward, Zaid is pious. Zaidun salihun. Zaid is tall. Zaidun tawilun. Zaid is big. Zaidun kabirun. Zaid is short. Zaidun qasirun. Zaid is small. Zaidun saghirun. Zaid is patient. Zaidun sabirun. Zaid is thankful. Zaidun shakirun. Next we will study how to make jumla ismia using dual asma as mubtada. For example, we have the sentence Zaid and Hamid are students. In this sentence, Zaid and Hamid are the subject. Therefore, Zaid and Hamid should be mubtada. The way to write Zaid and Hamid in Arabic will be Zaidun wa Hamidun. Wa indicates and. The way to write students in this case will be Talibani. Let us study this sentence in more detail. Zaidun wa Hamidun is mubtada. Zaidun is in rafa status, Hamidun is in rafa status. So we meet the first criteria for Zaidun wa Hamidun to be mubtada. Zaidun is definite in capacity, Hamidun is definite in capacity. We meet the second criteria for Zaidun wa Hamidun to be mubtada. Let us look at Talibani. Talibani represents khabar. Talibani is in rafa status. Why? Because we know that ani and aini ending sounds will determine the status of dual asma. First of all, dual asma end in ani or aini ending sounds. And secondly, ani ending sound represents rafa status, aini ending sound represents nasab and jar status. That is why it was very important to focus on the learning of these ending sounds. So Talibani represents rafa status because of the ending sound of ani. Talibani is indefinite in capacity. So Talibani also meets the first two criteria for it to be khabar. Finally, Zaidun wa Hamidun both represent the dual ism and are masculine. Talibani also represents a dual ism and is masculine in gender. Zaidun wa Hamidun meets all criteria to be mubtada. Talibani meets all criteria to be khabar. So Zaidun wa Hamidun Talibani is a jumla ismia and it means Zaid and Hamid are students. Please note that Talibani is rafa in status. Over here we have to focus on the ending sound and we do not have to look for double pesh, double zabar or double zair at the end of the ism. Let us study some examples of dual asma as mubtada. Zaid and Hamid are pious. Zaidun wa Hamidun salihani. Please focus on the ending sound ani. Zaid and Hamid are tall. Zaidun wa Hamidun tawilani. Zaid and Hamid are sitting. Zaidun wa Hamidun jalisani. Zaid and Hamid are hardworking. Zaidun wa Hamidun mujtahidani. Zaid and Hamid are standing. Zaidun wa Hamidun qaimani. Next, we will study making jumla ismiya using plural asma as mubtada. The example that we have is Zaid, Hamid, and Mahmud are pious. In this sentence, Zaid, Hamid, and Mahmud are the subject or mubtada. Pious will be the khabar. To write Zaid, Hamid, and Mahmud as mubtada, we have Zaidun wa Hamidun wa Mahmudun. For pious, we will write Salihuna. Please focus on the ending sound of una. We studied previously that una ending sound or ina ending sound will be used for masculine non-broken plural. Furthermore, we studied that una ending sound will represent rafa status and ina ending sound will represent nasab or jar status. Zaidun wa Hamidun wa Mahmudun represents mubtada. Over here, Zaidun is in rafa status, Hamidun is in rafa status, Mahmudun is in rafa status. For Salihuna, it represents khabar, and Salihuna is in rafa status because of the una ending sound. Once again, please focus on the ending sound of una rather than on the presence of double pesh, double zabar or double zair. Furthermore, Zaidun, Hamidun, Mahmudun are definite in capacity. Salihuna is indefinite in capacity. Zaidun, Hamidun, Mahmudun are all masculine. Salihuna is masculine. Zaidun, Hamidun, Mahmudun are more than 2 in number, therefore plural. Salihuna is also used for plural. Zaidun wa Hamidun wa Mahmudun meets all the criteria to be mubtada. Salihuna meets all the criteria to be khabar. Therefore, the translation of Zaid, Hamid and Mahmud are pious will be Zaidun wa Hamidun wa Mahmudun salihuna. Zaid, Hamid and Mahmud are sitting. Zaidun wa Hamidun wa Mahmudun jalisuna. Zaid, Hamid and Mahmud are standing. Zaidun wa Hamidun wa Mahmudun qaimuna. Zaid, Hamid and Mahmud are hardworking. Zaidun wa Hamidun wa Mahmudun mujtahiduna. Next, we will study making jumla ismia using mubtada, that is feminine. For mubtada, we will again be using a proper noun or ism alam. And the first example that we have is Maryam is a student. In this sentence, Maryam is the subject or mubtada and student is the khabar. So first of all, for ism Maryam to be mubtada in the sentence, it needs to be in rafa status. So let us construct ism Maryam in Arabic. Here we have the ism Maryam, and according to the examples that we have studied so far, Maryam should be written like this, that is Maryamun, to indicate the rafa status. However, this is the incorrect way of writing Maryam in the rafa status. The correct way to write Maryam in rafa status is Maryamu. So in the case of Maryam, we are not adding double pesh at the end of the ism. Rather, we are only adding a single pesh at the end of the ism. So the rafa status of Maryam is indicated as Maryamu and not as Maryamun. Why is that the case? The reason is that in Arabic grammar, feminine names, number one, do not accept tanween. That is, for a feminine name, we will not see double pesh, double zabar or double zair on it. And secondly, they do not accept zair or kasra. Let us study this further and look at some more examples. We studied that in Arabic grammar, a feminine name will not accept tanween. That is, there will be no double pesh, double zabar or double zair at the end of the ism if it is a feminine name. And secondly, it will not accept zair or kasra. Let us look at the example of a masculine name such as Zaid. In rafa status, we have Zaidun. In nasab status, we have Zaidan. And in jar status, we have Zaidin. So the three forms of ism Zaid, which is a masculine name, are Zaidun, Zaidan, Zaidin. Now let us look at the feminine name, which is Maryam. In the Rafa status, we have Maryamu. In the Nasab status, we have Maryama. And in the Jar status, we have Maryama. Why do we have Maryama in the Jar status? Because a feminine name will not accept Zair, it will not accept Kasra. So, rather than saying Maryami, we will go with Maryama. So the three forms of a masculine name such as Zaid are Zaidun, Zaidan, Zaidin. And for a feminine name such as Maryam, we have Maryamu, Maryama, Maryama. Maryamu, Maryama, Maryama meet the two criteria, that is, absence of tanween, and secondly, not accepting Zair. Let us do practice of the three forms of feminine names. For Ism Maryam, we have Maryamu, Maryama, Maryama. Maryamu represents Rafa status, Maryama represents Nasab status, Maryama represents Jar status, and in the Jar form, it will not accept Zair. Fatima, Fatimatu, Fatimata, Fatimata. Zainab, Zainabu, Zainaba, Zainaba. Aisha, Aishatu, Aishata, Aishata. There is an entire category of asma in Arabic grammar that do not accept tanween, such as double pesh, double zabar, and double zair, and they do not accept zair, that is, they will not accept kasra. These asma are called ghair munsarif asma. Ghair munsarif asma. So we are learning a new terminology here, which is a category of asma in Arabic grammar that do not accept tanween and do not accept zair. Feminine names are included in this category, and they are just one example of the group. There are other groups in this category as well, and we will inshallah be studying them in the later sections. Therefore, the definition of a ghair munsarif ism or a non-munsarif ism is that it will, number one, not accept tanween, and secondly, it will not accept zair or kasra. Now we will practice making jumla ismia using a feminine proper noun as mubtada. The example that we have is Maryam is a student. Maryam is the subject or mubtada. Maryam is also an ism alam or a proper noun. And student in this sentence is the khabar. So the jumla ismiya that we have will be Maryamu talibatun. Let us look at this further. Maryamu is mubtada. It is in Rafa status. We are calling this Maryamu and not Maryamun because Maryam is a feminine name and it will not accept tanween. Maryamu is definite in capacity. It is feminine and singular. Talibatun is Rafa in status because of double pesh at the end of the ism. Over here, we have to write double pesh because Talibatun is not a feminine name. It is indefinite in capacity, it is feminine in gender, and it is singular. So Maryamu meets all criteria to be mubtada, Talibatun meets all criteria to be khabar, and the translation of Maryam is a student is Maryamu talibatun. This is a complete jumla ismiya. We will look at some more examples. Maryam is a Muslim. Maryamu muslimatun. Maryam is a worshipper. Maryamu abidatun. Maryam is sitting. Maryamu jalisatun. Maryam is hardworking. Maryamu mujtahidatun. Now we will look at jumla ismia with dual feminine asma as mubtada. For example, Maryam and Zainab are students. Maryamu wa Zainabu talibatani. Maryamu is in Rafa status. Zainabu is in Rafa status. Talibatani, again we focus on the ani ending sound, and ani ending sound is number one used for dual ism, and secondly it is used for indicating Rafa status. So the translation of Maryam and Zainab are students is Maryamu wa Zainabu talibatani. Maryam and Zainab are fasting. Maryamu wa Zainabu saimatani. Maryam and Zainab are sitting. Maryamu wa Zainabu jalisatani. Maryam and Zainab are worshippers. Maryamu wa Zainabu abidatani. Again, over here we are focusing on the ending sound rather than looking at harakat at the end of the ism. Here we will practice using feminine plural asma as mubtada. For example, Maryam, Zainab and Fatima are students. Maryamu wa Zainabu wa Fatimatu talibatun. Over here, although we have double pesh at the end of the ism, but our focus will be on the ending sound of atun. We studied that for feminine non-broken plural asma, we will be focusing on the ending sound of atun or atin. Atun ending sound indicates Rafa status. Atin ending sound indicates nasab or jar status. Maryamu, Zainabu, Fatimatu, these are all part of mubtada and they are in Rafa status. Talibatun is khabar, and because of the atun ending sound, it is also in Rafa status. Maryam, Zainab and Fatima are tall. Maryamu wa Zainabu wa Fatimatu tawilatun. Maryam, Zainab and Fatima are standing. Maryamu wa Zainabu wa Fatimatu qaimatun. We will now do some practice. First of all, we will take these sentences in English and make the corresponding sentences in Arabic in the form of jumla ismia. First of all, we have Hashim is a doctor. Hashimun tabibun. Abid is an engineer. Abidun muhandisun. The vocabulary for engineer is muhandis, and Abid is a masculine name, so in this case it will accept tanween. Nasir is a student. Nasirun talibun. Mujahid is hardworking. Mujahidun mujtahidun. Khalid is tall. Khalidun tawilun. Zahid is short. Zahidun qasirun. Mansur is good looking. Mansurun jamilun. Shahid is standing. Shahidun qaimun. Mazhar is sitting. Mazharun jalisun. Sajid is ill. Sajidun marizun. Here we will do practice for feminine asma as mubtada. Fatima is a doctor. Fatimatu tabibatun. Fatimatu is written as Fatimatu because feminine name will not accept tanween. Tabibatun has the double pesh on it because it is not a feminine name. So in the rafa status, it will have double pesh on it. Zainab is an engineer. Zainabu muhandisatun. Khalida is a student. Khalidatu talibatun. Aisha is hardworking. Aishatu mujtahidatun. Zahida is tall. Zahidatu tawilatun. Laiba is short. Laibatu qasiratun. Narmeen is good looking. Narmeenu jamilatun. Shahida is standing. Shahidatu qaimatun. Umama is sitting. Umamatu jalisatun. Maryam is ill. Maryamu marizatun. So in all of these feminine names, we are not adding tanween at the end of the ism because feminine names will not accept tanween. Here we will practice making jumla ismia using dual proper nouns as mubtada. Hashim and Abid are doctors. Hashimun wa Abidun tabibani. Hashimun wa Abidun is mubtada. Tabibani is khabar. Hashimun is in rafa status. Abidun is in rafa status. Tabibani is in rafa status because of the ani ending sound. Nasir and Mujahid are hardworking. Nasirun wa Mujahidun mujtahidani. Khalid and Zaid are students. Khalidun wa Zaidun talibani. Mansur and Shahid are standing. Mansurun wa Shahidun qaimani. Mazhar and Sajid are sitting. Mazharun wa Sajidun jalisani. Maryam and Zainab are pious. Maryamu wa Zainabu salihatani. Over here, we will not be adding tanween on Maryamu or Zainabu because these two are feminine names and feminine names will not accept tanween. Fatima and Aisha are truthful. Fatimatu wa Aishatu sadiqatani. Hafsa and Ruqayya are teachers. Hafsatu wa Ruqayyatu ustazatani. Abida and Shahida are students. Abidatu wa Shahidatu talibatani. Nasira and Saima are hardworking. Nasiratu wa Saimatu mujtahidatani. Finally, we will practice using plural proper nouns as mubtada in jumla ismia. Kashif, Asad and Zaid are engineers. The Arabic for engineer is muhandis. Kashifun wa Asadun wa Zaidun muhandisuna. Please focus on the una ending sound. Una ending sound is used for masculine non-broken plural. Una ending sound also indicates rafa status. Kashifun wa Asadun wa Zaidun is mubtada. Muhandisuna is khabar. Kashifun is in rafa status. Asadun is in rafa status. Zaidun is in rafa status. Muhandisuna is in rafa status because of the una ending sound. Zaid, Hamid and Mahmud are pious. Zaidun wa Hamidun wa Mahmudun salihuna. Sajid, Abid and Khalid are students. sajidun wa abidun wa khalidun talibuna. Sajidah, Abidah and Khalidah are students. Sajidatu wa Abidatu wa Khalidatu talibatun. Here we need to focus on the atun ending sound. Atun ending sound indicates feminine non-broken plural and atun ending sound indicates rafa status. Maryam, Zainab and Aisha are doctors. Maryamu wa Zainabu wa Aishatu tabibatun. Fatima, Aisha and Ruqayya are pious. Fatimatu wa Aishatu wa Ruqayyatu salihatun. This is a summary slide. In this lecture, first of all, we studied that the Arabic terminology for a single word is mufrad. Mufrad plus mufrad can make a murakkab, which is a phrase. There are two types of murakkab. Murakkab naqis, which is not a sentence and it does not deliver a complete meaning. The second type of murakkab is murakkab tam, which delivers a complete meaning. Murakkab tam is also called a sentence or jumla in Arabic. There are two types of jumla in Arabic, jumla fe'liya and jumla ismia. In this lecture, we focused on the study of jumla ismia. We studied that jumla ismia has two components. One is mubtada, the second is khabar. Mubtada is the subject and it typically comes first in jumla ismia. We next studied three rules that mubtada has to satisfy and three rules that khabar has to satisfy. First of all, both mubtada and khabar must always be in the rafa status. Secondly, mubtada should be definite or marfa in capacity. Khabar should be indefinite or nakra in capacity. And this rule is applicable approximately 99% of the time. Finally, both mubtada and khabar will have the same gender and the same number. And this rule is applicable 99.99% of the time. We next studied how to make jumla ismiya using definite asma as mubtada. And we studied using ism alam or proper nouns as mubtada. We studied examples like Zaid is a student, making Zaidun talibun, and Maryam is a student, making Maryamu talibatun. Finally, we studied that in Arabic grammar, feminine names do not accept tanween and they do not accept zair or kasra. So for masculine names, for example Zaid, we have the pattern for the three forms as Zaidun, Zaidan, Zaidin, and for feminine names such as Maryam, the three forms pattern will be Maryamu, Maryama, Maryama.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.